Hi folks, in this video we are going to be looking at balance equations and how we can write them and how to understand them. So we can't pull things out of thin air in chemistry, we can't just make stuff. So we have to use balanced equations to get our ratios right. So if you have a look at the very first chemical equation here, we've got 2 hydrogen, 2 chlorine, but then when you have a look at HCl, we've only got 1 of each. So we've almost got a missing set of HCl. So how do we do that? Again, we put a 2 in front of it to balance it. So that means everything on the right hand side and the left hand side, or the left hand side and the right hand side, is equal. They're all the same. So how do we balance an equation? So here we have an equation. We have our reactants, and then we have our products. So what I do is I write a little table at the side. So R meaning reactants, P meaning products. And then what I want to do is I want to write down all the elements that I have. So I've got a hydrogen and I also have an oxygen, and I want to tally up how many I have on each side with Roman numerals. So on my reactant side I have 2 hydrogen. On my product side I also have 2 hydrogen. And with my oxygen I've got 2 on the reactant side and 1 on the product side. So if you have a look at the first one, hydrogen, they're balanced on each side, so we don't need to do anything with it. But if you have a look at oxygen, we have not enough on our product side, so we can only times things. You can't just add 1 oxygen, you need to add like the whole thing. So how do we do that? Well, 1 times 2 is 2, so if I want to put a big 2 in front of this, I've got 2 oxygen, which is perfect. But I've also created a problem for myself, because now I've got extra hydrogen. So if you do the big 2 times the 2 of hydrogen, that gives us 4 hydrogen. And then our hydrogen is not balanced. So what I need to do to the other side, I also need to times my hydrogen by 2 to get 4, and that is my equation balanced. Let's have a look at this other example. So again, reactants and products. Draw your little table. We have lithium and we have fluorine. So I've got 1 lithium on the reactants and 1 on the products, 2 lithium in the reactants and 1 in the products. So then we have to look at our fluorine, because that's the one that's unbalanced. So if we times it by 2, let's have a look. We now have 2 fluorines, but again we've also created a problem for ourselves because we now have 2 lithiums as well on our product side. So what are we going to have to do to our reactant side? We're also going to have to times it by 2. So that means everything is balanced once we have added those 2 number 2's in front of lithium and lithium fluoride. And last but not least, a slightly more tricky example. We've got reactants, products, we have nitrogen and hydrogen. So we've got 1 nitrogen in our reactants, 2 in our products, 3 hydrogens in our reactants and 2 in our products. So what are we going to do? Well, if you start with your nitrogen, you want to times the reactant side by 2. 2 times 1 gives us 2. We also have more hydrogen, so we've got 2 times the small 3 here. We also have 6 now. So how are we going to fix that? Well, if we go back to our hydrogen side, what times 2 gives us 6 is what we're looking for. So in this case it's 3. So then we can check. Yes, we have 6 hydrogens on both sides and 2 nitrogens on both sides as well. And that's how you balance chemical equations. There are loads of different methods as well, but I find this one is a little bit easy sometimes to help you with them before starting harder examples.